important details about the program. We have total 8 courses of 32 credits, 6 theory courses, 1 practical and 1 project. Eligibility: bachelor's degree in any subject. Minimum duration 1 year, maximum 3 years. Medium is English, but the students can write their examinations, assignments, practical and project in Hindi also. So if you are interested in television, radio or online media, please come and join IGNOU's PG Diploma in Electronic Media.
Hello viewers, this MA program in Environmental and Occupational Health focuses on the relationship between people and their environment and fosters safe and healthy communities. And this is of utmost importance. This program is an MA in Environmental and Occupational Health. The type of the program is a master's program and the medium of instruction will be in English. The duration of the program will be a minimum of 2 years and a maximum of 4 years. The target group will be a graduation from any discipline. Mainly the professionals working in environmental and occupational sector and non-governmental organizations are welcome to join. Doctors, nurses, paramedical graduates and employees can join the course. Employees from the Central Pollution Control Board, civil servants of the state and central governments, faculty, researchers and students in universities, research organizations and colleges will find this program very interesting. Graduates aspiring to pursue a career in environmental management, occupational health and safety, industrial health and safety will also find this program of useful relevance. The job opportunities for this program is tremendous. They can work as environmental health and safety specialist, occupational health and safety specialist in various organizations, HSE coordinator and protection officers. They can also work as worksite wellness coordinators, public administration and safety professionals. They can also work as industrial hygienists and ergonomists in the various organizations. Then the safety and environmental health managers, toxicologists, health and safety engineering specializations are also very important. The objectives of this program include the following. They will discuss the impact of the environmental hazards on human health. Then they will describe the policies, laws, standards and the measurement techniques and applications in different occupational setups.
Namaste viewers, my name is Dr. Maheep, and today we will discuss the Ukraine-Russia conflict and conflict management through Gandhian perspective. As you know that it's almost more than 2.5 years passed away since the escalation of conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And you all must well aware about the conflicts, war, battles which has been engaged in the different part of the world for almost every year. Perennial is a problem of perennial nature. So we will approach through Gandhian perspective how to resolve this global menace. First, we would like to understand the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which has escalated into full scale since February 2022. It's a multifaceted geopolitical crisis with the far-reaching implications for regional and global stability as well. At its core, the conflict represents a struggle between Russia's territorial ambition and Ukraine's sovereignty is at stake, with significant historical, cultural, political underpinnings. So you can find that there are some key players like NATO, EU, and some other regional nations. They play a crucial role, as we are the global south part of the country, the world, and we have some special role in this war, as we are population of almost 1/7 of the entire globe. So it is expected that we have some substance at stake, and in this engagement we will discuss about Mahatma Gandhi's approach to conflict management, offering an alternative pathway to resolve this problem perennially. The Ukraine-Russia crisis or conflict can be defined as a territorial and political dispute, primarily between the Russia Federation and Ukraine, triggered by Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and further escalated in 2022 with Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February. This conflict is grounded in competing national identities, territorial disputes, geopolitical considerations, and a deep history of Soviet-era ties between the two nations. The immediate catalyst of the war escalation of 2022, Feb 24, was the Russia's government's desire to prevent Ukraine's further integration into Western institutions like the European Union and the NATO. Russia perceives NATO's eastward expansion as a direct threat to its sphere of influence, and Ukraine's alignment with the West, which was seen as an existential security threat to Moscow. So we will adopt Gandhian perspective to conflict management of Russia and Ukrainian crisis. Gandhi's philosophy of conflict transformation offers a radical alternative to the conventional military approach. Gandhi's concept of non-violence, ahimsa, and truth, satya, challenges the principle of resolving conflicts through force or coercion. According to Gandhi, conflicts cannot be resolved merely through the cessation of violence, but require the transformation of relationships between the conflicting parties. This involves creating a mutual understanding based on empathy, dialogue, and mutual respect. So in this context of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, Gandhian principles would argue for a shift from the military confrontation to peace building and dialogue. This approach advocates for the cessation of hostilities, the involvement of third-party mediators, and the promotion of negotiations to address underlying grievances. Gandhi believed that lasting peace could only be achieved by acknowledging the human dignity of all parties working towards a just and equitable society rather than simply seeking the military victory. At first, we would like to have a look of the historical underpinnings. The origin of the Ukraine-Russia conflict can be traced back to the complex history between the two nations. Ukraine, which was the part of Soviet Union until its dissolution in 1991, while USSR, has a long history of political, cultural and economic ties to Russia. However, since gaining independence, Ukraine has struggled to assert its national identity and navigate its relationship with both Russia and the West. So in 1924, that was the part of Bolshevik Revolution. From that historical underpinnings only, we can find that Ukraine had some problem with the USSR. In 2014, Russia annexation of Crimea and its support for the separatist movements in eastern Ukraine marked the beginning of the current conflict. This invasion was a direct challenge to Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. So the annexation of Crimea was widely condemned by the international community, with the United States, EU, and the other global powers imposing sanctions against Russia. Since 2022, the conflict escalated into a full-scale war, with Russia launching an invasion aimed at toppling Ukraine's government and asserting control over key territories. The war has led to significant civilian casualties, widespread destruction, and a humanitarian crisis. The United States, European Union, and the NATO has provided extensive military and the financial support to Ukraine, while Russia has continued to escalate its offensive, including the use of airstrike, artillery, and bombardment. In addition to the military conflict, the war has exacerbated global food crisis and energy crisis, as both Russia and Ukraine are major exporters of grain, oil, and gas. So the imposition of economic sanctions on Russia has also affected global markets, creating ripple effects throughout the global economy. First, we would like to look at the escalation of the problem since 2014. The conflict is particularly intense in the eastern region of the Donetsk and Luhansk, where the pro-Russia separatist movements have been active since 2014. Separatist groups supported by Russia have declared independence from Ukraine, leading to ongoing clashes between Ukraine and Russia forces. And the presence of Russia troops in the regions has created a de facto division of the country, with Russia seeking to integrate these territories into its fold, especially the eastern Ukrainian part, especially two important territories, that is Donetsk and Luhansk. The situation in eastern Ukraine is further complicated by the fact that many ethnic Russians, almost 30%, live in the region, creating a demographic factor that Russia exploits in its justification for intervention. The ongoing conflict in these areas has resulted in a prolonged stalemate, with periodic ceasefires failing to hold. So the role of different actors like EU, like USA, can also not be ignored. The European Union and the United States have played critical roles in Ukraine-Russia conflict, particularly in terms of economic and military support for Ukraine. The United States has provided billions of dollars in military aid, training, and intelligence to Ukraine, along with sanctions aimed at crippling the Russian economy. The European Union, which largely united in its support for Ukraine, has faced internal division regarding the extent of sanction and military involvement in this entire conflict. So the strategic goal of US and EU is to prevent the further expansion of Russian influence and ensure Ukraine's territorial integrity. Like NATO's involvement, although primarily in a supportive capacity through weapons, supplies, and training, has been a point of contention with Russia, and which views NATO's expansion as a direct threat to its security. We can contemplate about the India's role, that is considered a type of non-alignment stance, or sometimes it is called multi-alignment. India's position on the Ukraine-Russia conflict has been marked by a commitment to non-alignment. a principle that calls for a balanced approach to international relations without siding with any particular bloc. While India has condemned the invasion, it has refrained from supporting sanctions against Russia. Citing its long-standing diplomatic and defense ties with Russia, India has emphasized the need for dialogue and negotiations as the only viable solution to the conflict. India's stance reflects its broader foreign policy of maintaining a strategic autonomy as it seeks to balance its relations with Russia and the West. This policy has been particularly important in the light of India's growing economy and concern about the security situations in the Indo-Pacific region and its relation with China. So there is some other very important nuanced aspects like the impact of the oil and gas. One of the major global implications of the Ukraine-Russia conflict has been the disruption of global oil and gas market. Russia is one of the world's largest exporters of oil and natural gas, and the sanctions imposed by the West have led to a significant reshaping of the global energy markets. Europe, heavily reliant on Russian energy supplies, has faced an energy crisis as it seeks to diversify its sources. In response to the European Union has worked to reduce its dependence on Russian energy and accelerating the transition to renewable energy sources. However, the energy disruption have led to a cascading effect on global oil prices, exacerbating inflation, contributing to the global economic slowdown. And in the Gandhian conflict transformation, we can use and apply some recent developments in the Gandhian approach, like Johan Galtung's theory of structural violence that is very applicable in this context. Johan Galtung's theory of structural violence provides a useful framework for understanding the root cause of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Structural violence refers to the systematic ways in which social structures harm individuals by preventing them from meeting their basic needs. In this context of Ukraine, Galtung's theory can be applied to the long-standing political and economic inequalities between Russia and Ukraine, as well as the power dynamics within the broader international system. So the Ukrainian government's alignment with the West and the Russia's government's insistence on maintaining influence in the region can both be seen as manifestation of structural violence. So the imposition of external powers and the lack of inclusive political solutions have fueled grievances, contributing to the escalation of the violence in this context. And we can come with the Gandhian solution of this conflict through transformation and dialogue. Gandhi's approach to conflict resolution, which emphasizes non-violence, empathy, and dialogue, offers a transformative solution to the Ukrainian-Russia conflict. Rather than focusing on military victory, a Gandhian solution would seek to address the underlying injustice and grievances that fuel the conflict. This approach would involve creating platforms for dialogue between Russia and Ukraine, mediated by neutral third party to facilitate trust building and mutual understanding. So Gandhi's emphasis on truth and non-violence calls for a peaceful, just resolution based on the reconciliation rather than revenge on punishment. A Gandhian solution would also involve addressing the root causes of conflict, including historical grievances, ethnic tensions, and economic disparities between Ukraine and Russia through comprehensive peace-building efforts. In this context, I would like to comprehensively discuss the Gandhian philosophical foundation, like the use of non-violence and truth as the weapons to resolve the conflict. At the heart of Gandhi's conflict management approach is the concept of ahimsa or non-violence. Non-violence for Gandhi was not simply the absence of the physical violence, but a state of mind, a commitment to treating others with the respect and dignity. Regardless of the circumstances, Gandhi believed that non-violence is the most powerful tool for creating lasting peace and solving conflicts. According to him, violence breeds more violence, while non-violence fosters trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. So his principle of ahimsa was informed by his deep spiritual beliefs, particularly influenced by Jainism and the teaching of Hinduism, which placed non-violence at the core of moral conducts. So in this context, conflict management, Gandhi argued that the use of force to resolve the disputes is fundamentally flawed. While violence may lead to short-term gains, it often results in long-term suffering and perpetuates cycles of resentment and hostility. So Gandhi's approach to conflict was not about submission to the aggressor, but about confronting violence through peaceful means, through non-violent resistance, civil disobedience, and dialogue. In this context, we can engage the principle of truth also. The second pillar of Gandhi's philosophy is Satya, or the truth. Gandhi viewed truth as the ultimate reality, transcending individual perspectives and societal constructs. For him, truth was not merely a factual account of events, but the deeper ethical and the moral essence of existence. He believed that by adhering to the truth, one could achieve alignment with the divine, and only through truth could peace be truly attained. So in the conflict situation, Gandhi argued that both parties should strive for truth in their dealings with the situation. So he believed that by seeking the truth behind the dispute, understanding the motivations and concerns of the opposite party, and being honest in one's intention, conflict could be resolved peacefully. Truth and non-violence were intertwined in Gandhi's worldview. Without truth, non-violence becomes an empty gesture, and without non-violence, truth cannot be expressed in fullest form. So, in this view, Satyagraha, which means holding on to truth or soul force, was Gandhi's method of non-violence resistance. It was a unique form of protest that sought to change the heart of the oppressors. In this case, the rasa, through peaceful methods such as fasting, non-cooperation, civil disobedience, and Satyagraha was based on the belief that moral force rooted in the truth and non-violence was far more powerful and physical form in the achieving just and resolving conflict. So Gandhi's Satyagraha was not merely a political tool, but a spiritual practice. It involved the person's transformations and a commitment to self-discipline, self-sacrifice, and love for all beings, even one's oppressors. In this context, Gandhi's approach to conflict also stressed the importance of self-realization. He believed that individuals must first cultivate self-awareness, a spiritual growth, before they could effectively resolve conflict. For Gandhi, the root of all conflicts lies within the individual, their desire, attachments, and egos. Only by overcoming the inner barriers could one engage in peaceful resolution with others. So self-realization for Gandhi meant transcending the ego and recognizing the unity of all life. In view the resolution of external conflicts begin with the resolution of internal conflicts. So his teachings emphasized the need for self-purification, which was seen as an essential prerequisite for engaging in any form of conflict resolution. This approach can be applied to international conflict, where each party must be willing to confront their own internal prejudices and desire for power before meaning negotiation can be taken place. And in conflict resolution, non-violent protest and disobedience is also considered the weapons for Gandhi. Gandhi's most famous conflict management strategy was non-violent protest and civil disobedience. This method was first employed effectively in his campaigns and in India's struggle for independence. By urging individuals for peaceful resolutions, unjust laws and practices, Gandhi created a moral pressures on the oppressors, making it impossible for them to maintain their unjust positions without appealing immoral. So Gandhi's campaign often involved mass participation, where citizens would boycott British goods, refuse to pay taxes. So the role of dialogue and negotiations also very much relevant in this context. In this context of Ukraine-Russia conflict, Gandhi's emphasis on dialogue over military intervention could prevent and provide a potential pathway to peace by bringing the opposition side to the negotiation table and fostering an atmosphere of mutual respect. A peaceful resolution might be possible even the most volatile situation. So there is an importance of third-party mediation also. Gandhi understood the importance of mediation in resolving conflicts. He often acted as a mediator in his campaigns, but he also recognized the value of neutral third parties in facilitating peace. So he believed the impartial mediators could help bridge the gap between the conflicting party by offering solution based on the fairness, justice and compassion. So in the modern conflict like Ukraine and Russia, third-party mediation from neutral global institutions like United Nations or independent peace organizations could play a critical role in facilitating dialogue and finding common ground. Gandhi's principles would advocate for solution that prioritizes the welfare of all the parties rather than advancing into interest of one party over the other. So in this way, these all thoughts of Gandhi, his ideas, thoughts, vista and vision can be make this problem or conflict between the USSR and its different disintegrated countries or the parties, they can easily resolve the problems. And we can go through again, take this problem of pressing problem of this conflict. We would like to engage some Gandhian theory that is about structural violence. In this context, that Johann Galton's theory of structural violence provides a useful framework for the understanding the root cause of this conflict, that refers to the systematic ways in which social structure harm individuals by preventing them from meeting the basic needs. So the Ukrainian government's alignment with the West and the Russia's government's insistence on maintenance influence in the region can both be seen as the manifestation of a structural violence. So the imposition of external powers and the lack of the inclusion political solution have fueled grievances contribution on the escalation of the violence. So Gandhian solution, Gandhian opposed to the conflict solutions, which emphasizes non-violence, empathy and dialogue. And in this manner, we can conclude that the Ukraine-Russia conflict represents one of the most pressing geopolitical challenges of our time, with profound implications for regional and the global stability. While the United States and the European Union have played critical roles in supporting Ukraine, the path to a lasting peace lies not in the military intervention, but in transformative conflict resolution. Gandhi's principles of non-violence and dialogue offer a powerful framework for addressing the underlying causes of the conflict and fostering a just and lasting peace. By shifting the focus from the military confrontation to dialogue, empathy and mutual respect, it is possible to transform the conflict and build a profound for long-term peace. Jai Hind. Thank you.